Two guys in the dark.
So far out of my life, I've had a few scary things that happened to me that all seem to happen around the last 2 years. But before I tell you my incidents, I'll give you detailed descriptions about me and the area that I live in. My name's Adrian. I'm a Hispanic teenager from Fresno, California, and I used to live in the Bay Area. First of all, I'll give you some information because the info will be useful later. One of the stories, I was born in San Francisco, and my family lived there until I was 2. We moved to Fresno in Central California before my younger brother was born. I can straight up tell you right off the bat that Fresno is one of the most ghetto places that you'll live, at least outside of the Los Angeles area. It's not a great city to raise your children in. It's ugly compared to San Francisco. It's a massively run-down, gang-infested city filled with gated houses, graffiti-covered alleyways, a lot of homeless people, and really scary stuff. Every day you get the usual news of someone getting robbed at gunpoint, shot, stabbed, fucked up murders of innocent kids by gangs, or just flat out some weird stuff. It's basically mini Compton in the middle of California. Literally. I live pretty far away from all the crazy stuff that happens around the center of town. We live in a cul-de-sac neighborhood which is pretty quiet, as it is a large suburban area at the very edge of the city, near the highway, and stuff that happens over there are really rare. Until I was proven wrong, at least. Now enough with the background. Let's dive straight into the stories. One night, around December in 2014, before I got out for Christmas break, I was staying up on a Friday night. I was inside my room playing my Xbox 360, while my little brother was in his bedroom behind me, and my mom was in the living room watching her shows. I had a young husky named Kalaman. At the time, he was our guard dog until he ran away. I was minding my own business until I heard him barking outside. I brushed it off as I thought he was just overreacting to his first time seeing a raccoon or a possum along the fence. He kept on barking nonstop for minutes on end. Eventually I got tired of him barking, so I told him to go to bed and shut up. But I didn't realize the rattling and shaking of the backyard gate. By now I was really paranoid of what the hell was going on. I still kept playing GTA 5 until I saw my mom open up my door. Her face looked like she saw something really unpleasant that shook her up. She was slightly panting until I told her what was going on. She said that she saw someone running across our front yard to the backyard gate. My heart felt like I was swallowed, and then it was down my throat to my stomach. I told her, "How did you see him if you had all your windows to the house with the window blinds closed?" She said that she kept the very bottom blind cracked open to see if there was anyone approaching the house. My mom told me and my little brother to get out of our rooms, since they were the first couple of rooms near the gate, and she told me to hide with her in her bedroom down the hall while she went to the garage to pick up my dad's machete, my metal baseball bat, and her antique obsidian knife from Mexico to defend ourselves. She had the doors locked to the house before this, and she shut off all the lights. I closed the door quietly and locked it as I stayed in her room, scared to death of what would happen to us. I prayed to God in Spanish, quietly, since I didn't want to die young in my life. We still heard Calamans barking from the other end of the yard until it became dead quiet. I was scared. I didn't know if he had stopped, or worse. I soon fell asleep with the baseball bat next to my side. The next morning we checked around the house to see if anything happened. He was still alive and okay, but my mom had the same face that she had last night. She got a phone call from my neighbor 2 houses up the cul-de-sac from us, that her house was robbed because her garage door was busted, and the robber barged into her house and stole her husband's computer and lots of her money. I felt so bad for her because she had herself and her family in danger of that creep. From then on, my mom gave us a weapon to defend ourselves if this happens again. The second scary incident happened the next year in early 2015, around winter or spring. I was done finishing my game, and I decided to watch some TV with my mom to keep her company. It was around 9:50 p.m. until we got a ring from the doorbell. At first I knew it couldn't be my dad, Dad does come home around this time during the weekend when he comes back from working as a semi-truck driver. He usually works all week going up as far north as Salt Lake City, Utah, just for us to have food on the table. And second, he always had a way of ringing the doorbell so that we can recognize him. But I knew this wasn't my dad. Mom told me to stay on the sofa as she walked to the door. She said in her gentle voice, trying to be polite as possible, "Hello, is anyone there?" From the other side, I heard a chilling response from the other side of the front door. An old, shaky, and unfamiliar voice called from the other side. It's me. I'm your neighbor. I need something. Can you let me in your house?" Mom and I were scared shitless, as we knew our neighbors really well in our area, and this man didn't sound familiar at all. I looked through the blinds, and I saw a filthy-looking, supposedly homeless man who looked like he was in his early 50s. He had baggy dark eyes, and he was shaking like he was a twitchy mouse. He looked like a heavy meth head. When my mom responded, "What neighbor?" the creepy guy didn't say shit after her question. I can tell, he looked like a complete dumbass compared to my mom's sharp wit. My mom responded back, annoyed, and bothered to the stupid shithead. "Go away from our house, or I'll call the cops to arrest you. There's no business for you to be here. Go away." My mom isn't an asshole when it comes to people at her door, but if it's a sketchy person, that she can easily sniff them out. The man quickly and aggressively tried to come in by jiggling the doorknob, but he looked too weak to even push the door open. Eventually he gave up, and we heard the creep's footsteps hastily and clumsily walk away from our door and our house. I knew it was some sort of creepy homeless dude just by the sound of his voice. I'm not saying all the homeless people are creepy, but he was definitely strange, and he wanted to come in our house at 10 o'clock at night and possibly do something to us that was unpleasant. I could easily tell the difference between an innocent homeless person who asked for money to buy food and a deranged one who wanted to harm someone to get the money, because I live in the Tenderloin neighborhood in San Francisco, where it ran heavy with homeless people. But the homeless usually all live in downtown and San Fresno, which are far away, and it's really rare to even see them up here. But luckily my mom wasn't stupid to this kind of bullshit. But the scary stuff doesn't seem to end for me. It doesn't always seem to go away here in Fresno. Across the cul-de-sac from me, there's a house that looks like it's in good condition. However, the person that lives there is really freaky to me. His car seems to always never be used at all, like it hasn't been driven or touched, in years at least. And he has his windows shut, and his door is closed. The worst part, he never steps a single footstep, not even a full step out of his house. Anyways, it was around 1:20 in the afternoon. I was going into my junior year at high school. I was ready to practice driving out on a rural field, roads outside of Fresno with my dad. As soon as me and him started walking out the garage to my grandpa's Toyota Camry, we saw what I suppose was the dude from the house, standing outside. He was wearing a black hoodie jacket with the hood over his head. He had dirty old jeans, and he was facing his car, downwards to the floor. He just freakishly stood there like a statue, not even moving a single muscle. My freakometer was ringing. I walked to my grandpa's car with my dad and prepared to drive out of our street. I told my dad in Spanish, "Who was that? The neighbor, or is it someone who's looking for trouble?" Dad responded to me in Spanish that he wasn't sure. He told me not to look at him, as I made a U-turn around the cul-de-sac to get out. I slightly moved my eyes to go look at him, and he looked back at me. He barely had visible eyes. I was really scared. He looked at me like he had some weird intention. My dad scolded me for not paying attention. I told him that I couldn't help, that it freaked me out. When we came back around at 3:44, the weird fucker was gone. I think he decided to retreat back to his house like the hermit crab that he was. I told my little brother about it. He says he does feel scared when he used to play outside on the street with his friends, on their scooters, as he would see the blinds slightly open. I feel so annoyed that this hermit's presence is near me. How does he buy food when he runs out? How does he pay the bills to his house? I personally want to smash the pedophile's head out with my bat. And just recently this Monday, I saw him sitting slouched like a hunchback on his walkway to his door with his hoodie covering up his face, while I was taking out the garbage bins. He just seemed to stare at me with a blank expression, like if that was his intention. I locked the backyard gate, and I sped walking to the garage and shut it closed. He always made me feel so uneasy. I just hope that the city moves, or relocates him somewhere else. I thought everything that was creepy would stop, but it suddenly shifted over to my little brother. We'll call him Yzma. A few months ago in October, coincidentally, Yzma had gotten repetitive calls from an unknown number when he got his first phone. He said that the number would call him twice, or even 5 times a day. This was very unusual, and I told him that I'll block the number for him. I was pissed that I found out I couldn't block an unknown number. And FYI, Yzma's phone was an iPhone 5S. After this, I told him firmly that if the number calls him when I'm around, I will talk to this moron. 3 days passed. I was with my mom to go pick Yzma up from school. He came over, and I hugged him and kissed him. Don't mind that. Passionate love for your family members is strong in Mexican or Hispanic heritage. I told him, how was your day? He replied back to me, it went great, but I looked at Yzma's face. He looked scared and nervously shy. I told him, ¿Qué pasa? Did that stupid number call you again? He said to me in a nervous voice, well, yes, that number called 3 times. One during my second period, and the next during fourth period, and the last one was at lunch. It feels our conversation was interrupted by the rumbling at Yzma's phone. I grabbed the phone and said, hello? Who is this? All I heard on the other side of the call was a faint breathing. I instantly hung up and said to Mom, Madre, that unknown number was someone. Mom had said, well then, who is it? I said back chillingly, all I heard was breathing. My mom had looked like she jumped for a second while she was driving. She said that if the creep calls again, to have me or Dad pick up and answer the call. I nodded. The next day on Saturday, I was helping Dad in the backyard when Yzma opened his window and told me to come over, that the man was calling him yet again. I ran over to my brother's window, and I picked up the phone. I said pissed off, hello? Who the fucking hell are you? The raspy voice of an old man that sounded like he was in his 50s said back, I'm trying to look for my kid. Have you seen him? All I want is my kid. He's a naughty little boy. I looked at the gate to see if someone was looking at me. There's no one. I raged back at him. Listen, you sick fuck. There's no kids that you are missing. Don't call this number back again, or I'll fuck you up and make you look like an accident. Just before I was about to say some more, I heard laughing, and the man hung up immediately. I'm not an asshole, but he sounded like he wanted to kidnap my little brother. He was 12, and I was 16. I hugged my brother and told him that I'll hurt the man if he ever lays a finger on him. He appeared to be stalking my little brother while he was at school. The next day on Sunday, me, Yzma, and Dad and Mom were all going to go eat. We decided to go to a nearby Wendy's until you guessed it. The sick guy called him yet again. By this time, I was pissed beyond belief. I told my dad in Spanish. Again, Dad speaks more Spanish, but he knows a good amount of English. Papi, this cabron was calling Yzma for weeks. Can you deal with this pendejo? I dealt with him, and it doesn't seem to stop. Dad said yes. I gave him the phone. I looked around if anyone was sketchy, was tailgating us. The pedophile was saying the same shit that he said to me. Dad said yes, and I gave him the phone. The pedophile was saying the same shit that he said to me. Dad's alarm bell was ringing, and he said sternly and angrily, Listen, pal, I have no clue who you are, but please stop fucking calling this number. The dumbass constantly tries to interrupt my dad. No, 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 listen, you stupid fuck. Don't call this fucking number, or I'll have the police deal with you. And me personally. Shut up. Okay. Have a nice day. The pedophile stopped calling Yzma ever since then, and I'm glad. Thank you, Dad, for telling the pedophile to screw off. So those are my 4 stories. Right after I graduate high school, I plan on moving and going to college in San Francisco, where I feel more at home and a lot more safer. I honestly hate Fresno's violent and creepy atmosphere compared to the bustling safety of San Francisco. And up to this day, I still live in paranoia of my surroundings. So I guess your lesson from me is from that we live in a world with really scary and sick-minded people. Even though we may not like them, they're always going to share this world with us, whether we like it or not. Stay safe, people. And to the burglar, the creepy-ass homeless man, the hermit crab neighbor, let's never meet again. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.